everybody, welcome into the Big Factor here on the Big Play Sports Network. Jumpin' Jack, Flash O'Rourke, Nick Padone. I'm Ryan Tyler. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Happy Friday, one day closer to the weekend. Thank God. Do I need a little bit of a break? I don't know about you fellas, but how you feeling? Any fun plans this weekend? What's on the agendas?
Yeah, not a ton for me. Might be looking at watching some high school hockey tonight, probably. Gonna parlay that into watching some college hockey tomorrow night. Gonna head out and watch the Blue Streaks play a game. So
That's a roller coaster, I thought.
yeah, it is. And actually, speaking of roller coasters, I do have 10 seconds before you guys mute me. I actually do hold the Cedar Point record for the most times riding the corkscrew in a row without getting off, believe it or not.
Like, that's a confirmed record?
That is, yes, like you can, yeah.
Like, there's Cedar Point documented?
No, there's definitely not documented records of it. So you can go to the corkscrew and ask. I went 30 times in a row without getting off the ride.
That's absolutely disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you not throw up?
I didn't, but I had to be carried down the stairs after because my legs wouldn't work. This was like 2017, probably.
Were you?
Nice.
Was this like a planned thing, or were you like, "Hey, I'm here.
No,
I might as well break this record"?
So we went on it one time, right? And no one goes on corkscrew if you've been to Cedar Point before. It's one of their more slept on, maybe not slept on, just not popular rides. And I think we made it, and we're like little kids at the time. And we made a joke like, oh, like we just stay on and like ride it again. They're like, yeah, sure, we don't care. No one's in line. Went on, rode it again. And we're like, oh, like I wonder if anyone's ever rode it more than twice in a row. And this lady who worked at Cedar Point was like, actually, there's this guy named Corkscrew Tom who rode it 28 times in a row.
Bro.
So, nope, swear to God. And then we were like, can we try? And she's like, yeah, you're not going to get it, though. And then we did it. We hit 30. We went back and hit 33 one time after. Then that was that.
That's put that on your tombstone one day. Nick, what are you doing this weekend? Anything fun?
Yeah, football weekend, man. Football weekend. I feel like Saturday we've got NFL divisional. Sunday we got NFL divisional. Monday we got the national championship. So laying low. It's freezing outside. It sucks. And I'm going to sit inside and watch football all weekend.
Yeah, we can start there. Start with the AFC. By the way, this sick-ass graphic I made, I think that looks pretty cool. Thanks for noticing, Jack. You didn't say anything about it. That's fine. But we'll start there.
I mean, you make a great one every single day. I didn't know I had to shout it out every. You don't say, oh, LeBron, you had 20, 10, and 10 again. Congrats. He does it every night.
The LeBron sexuals do.
That is fair.
Well, anyways, Houston is traveling up to Kansas City as they're the first game of the NFL divisional round, slated on Saturday for 4:30 kickoff. Texans open up as an 8-point underdog, over/under just 41.5. But guys, Chiefs are minus 500 in this game. Any shot CJ Stroud could pull this off.
You know me, I love my 8-point underdogs this upcoming week / early next week. And also, you got to factor in, Patrick Mahomes just had a baby. The game's being played at Arrowhead. He's going to be sleeping at home a lot this week. A new baby, they make lots of noises, lots of sounds. This is going to be the worst week of sleep Patrick Mahomes has gotten in his life, so you never know.
He deals with Jackson every week.
Yeah, and I feel like newborn babies are like relatively kind of quiet. Like they just came
they
out.
scream.
Do you have experience?
I don't have any experience. Give me the Chiefs. I don't see a way that the Texans win this.
Jack?
Yeah, the Chiefs are going to win the game, but I wouldn't be shocked if they kept it a little bit closer than people are thinking. We do kind of forget the Chiefs all year long just magically voodooed their way into a win, no matter if they were a big favorite, like the Raiders game where they ended up winning on a last-second field goal, or it might have been a miss, actually, by Daniel Carlson.
No, it was a bullshit Chiefs homer call, even though they were on the road, because they said like it was supposed to be like a down. It shouldn't have been a turnover, is what it was, and then they gave the ball to the Chiefs. That's what it was.
So yeah, but they're not immune to playing close games, and like they say in the NFL, it's any given Sunday. So I think it's crazy to write off the Texans completely. They have no shot, but yeah, the Chiefs are probably going to win it.
Yeah, I'd be shocked beyond belief if they didn't let Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship. But are you at the point with Patrick Mahomes in his career? I mean, still pretty damn young. The fatigue, right? I mean, seeing this guy in the AFC Championship every single year, it's like a lock. He's 6-0 in the divisional round in his career so far. And I appreciate the greatness, don't get me wrong. Like second to Tom Brady, I would assume already in his career, in my opinion, when you look at the numbers in the Super Bowls already. Are you guys so sick of the Chiefs?
I'm not, honestly. I mean, dynasties are so hard to do, and it takes so much work to get back there over and over again. And you also have that hunted versus hunter mentality. Everyone's always gunning for you, and to do it so many years in a row and in a plethora of ways like they have, like it started with the Tyreek, air the ball out. Now they're kind of more of a defensive team in a way almost, and they still have one of the best quarterbacks of all time. But I don't get tired of these teams like the Patriots. Like, it is so unbelievable to me that you can find a way back every single year, and it's really hard to do, and I do appreciate the greatness.
Same. I think I'd feel differently if the Browns had like any semblance of a pulse in the AFC. Like if the Browns were good, but the Chiefs kind of stood in their way, like maybe then I would be like a little bit tired of it. But same thing I felt with Brady. I never wanted him to retire. And remember, even when he was, like when there was rumors of him retiring and he kind of fake retired the first time, it was like he was still on top. Like he was still going to the Super Bowl. Like he was still that guy. And I was like, man, I don't want Brady to retire just because like I appreciate the greatness. Like, and again, maybe I would feel differently if the Browns weren't any good over the last 20 years, but they're not. I know they're not going to be probably for the next 2 or 3 in terms of Super Bowl contention, for sure not. So yeah, I don't mind it as much at all.
I truthfully don't see this even being a close contest. I would honestly probably buy up the plus or the -8, to be honest with you guys. I mean, when you think about it, right? I mean, they looked good against the Texans in the regular season. Tank Dell obviously was out for the season after he broke his leg in that game. And the Chiefs, let's be real, the regular season doesn't mean much to them. Obviously, they want the 1 seed, but they're not throwing out all the tricks in the book, right? This is their first playoff game. You have doubters. I think they're going to put it all, not all on the line, but I'm going to go final score. It wouldn't be a prediction, or it wouldn't be a prediction show if we didn't give final scores. I'm going to seriously go blowout here. I'm going Chiefs 27, Texans 10.
Nick, you want to take yours next?
Oh, are we doing scores for all these?
Yeah, because I'm going to clip it, and then when I seem like a genius.
All right, I'll go Chiefs 20, Texans 10.
Yeah, Nick, that's a great prediction. I think Coach Steve Spagnuolo always has a great defense. He's going to keep it low scoring. I like the ugly game aspect as well. I'm going to go 21-13 for the Chiefs.
All right, 3-0 for the Chiefs. I would be shocked, like I said, but we'll move it on to the AFC other divisional game, probably the marquee game. Not even probably. It is the marquee game of the divisional round. Ravens at Bills. Ravens are a road 1-point favorite, over under 51.5. I said it on Monday. This is the 7th matchup in NFL postseason history between two teams that are averaging above 30 points per game. Baltimore blew out Buffalo. I believe it was week 4 this season. How you guys see this one going?
Yeah, I can take it. For the Bills, is going to come down to the defense. Josh Allen's going to score. Lamar Jackson's going to score. It's which team can get a stop or 3 or 4 stops that's going to win this game. And I don't know if I trust the Bills defense to be there, but I've been riding with Josh the whole entire way. I do think the Bills win at home. I mean, just one more up in Buff. They love playing in that building. It's going away here in a minute. The snow's going to be falling. This is what you ask for when you sign up to be a Buffalo Bill.
Yeah. I want to see the Bills win this. Like, you're never going to catch me pulling for the Ravens. So give me Buffalo. Give me a big Josh Allen day. I know the MVP is a regular season award, but hopefully this kind of cements his, final case for MVP. It's such a coin flip between him and Lamar right now, but I want to see the Bills win this. But this is going to be the game of the weekend. This is definitely like the one that I'm for sure most excited to watch.
This is the game I wish so much could have been the AFC Championship.
Yeah.
It would have been amazing to know at least one of Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson are going to get a shot in the Super Bowl. Obviously didn't turn out that way, and I want the Bills to win, like you guys. Of course I do, but I'm trying to make some money here. So I do think Baltimore wins this game. I think it'll be close. It could come down to the last possession, truthfully. I think the Baltimore Ravens match up very well with the Bills. You saw what Derrick Henry was able to do. I mentioned week 4. I mean, he had that 85-yard touchdown right off the rip. Obviously, they'll make adjustments, and Buffalo is missing some key players, but I think at the end of the day is if the Ravens defense can do just enough, like barely enough to, like I said, give Lamar Jackson the last possession of the game, I think he's going to go to the AFC Championship, which sucks because then I would go take Kansas City over Baltimore, but if Buffalo wins this game, I'd probably take Buffalo over Kansas City.
Yeah, it just seems like for both these quarterbacks, really, it's that glass ceiling that they can't break of getting past Mahomes. They're going to match up one-on-one, get a chance to take him on again, but you do want to see one of these guys reach the Super Bowl eventually. They've both had so many heartbreaking losses in the playoffs, more so the Bills with wide right last year, 13 seconds a few years before that. But for Lamar and the Ravens, they've gotten embarrassed in the playoffs a couple of times, bowed out earlier than they thought, so it would definitely be cool to see one of them get to the Super Bowl this year, I'd say.
Yeah, interesting stat about this, though, the running backs. Derrick Henry has over 115 more carries than James Cook and 900 more yards, but they both have 16 touchdowns. 16 touchdowns for James Cook on just 207 carries.
Well, yeah, I feel like they use him in the red zone so much. They almost have a little bit of a Notre Dame type of thing going in the red zone where the biggest thing to worry about is the quarterback's legs at all time. But they don't like Ray Davis is their backup running back. Correct me if I'm wrong on that for the Bills. Yes. It's not like he's really your go-to number 2 type back, third down back where you have 2 guys you're looking towards running the ball in the red zone. So I think that's part of why he has so many touchdowns as well, is they just feed him down low.
All right, score predictions. This one's going to be a nail-biter. I think last possession, field goal probably. I'll go Baltimore edges out Buffalo. I will go 31-28.
Nick?
All right, I'm going to go Buffalo wins this 24. Let me go blowout, man. I'm going full Ravens hater mode. Give me Buffalo wins this one 24-10.
Yeah, Nick, that's why I tossed off to you first, is I had the exact same vibe about this one. It's time for Josh Allen to break through all the way. Give me the Bills in this one, 28-10.
If Lamar Jackson loses this game, I mean, it's no joke going against Buffalo and the potential MVP and Josh Allen. But when you talk from a legacy standpoint, I mean, this is a big point of Lamar Jackson is the failure or the lack of, deep playoff success. Obviously been in the playoffs multiple times, but I believe just one AFC Championship appearance, of course, last season. If he doesn't make the AFC Championship game, I mean, we're talking about he'll be, 29 next year, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
This is also, Ryan, the year that everyone's seen this now on social media, but Trent Dilfer won the Super Bowl at 28 years old as the Ravens quarterback. 12 years later, Flacco wins it at 28 years old. And now 12 years later, Lamar at 28 years old is going to have a chance for the Ravens to get it done. So it seems like this is the team of destiny year for him. If he's ever going to do it. What?
Did you give your score?
Yeah, 28-10. Bills off by a lot.
Wow, you guys are both predicting a blowout.
I think I'm being a Ravens hater, and I think Jack is being a Bills Mafia lover.
I'm going to be watching the game with a bunch of Bills fans.
You were in Buffalo for a game, weren't you, Jack?
This year I was not, no.
But last year you were. How was that?
So no,
how would you compare it to go ahead.
So last year I went to their equivalent of the brown and orange game, which they call the red and blue scrimmage. It's the same thing, because I was up in Buffalo around that time. But I've been in the area, in the winter. Do you guys remember that Snow Bowl game against the Dolphins 2 years ago?
Yeah.
I was up in Buffalo for that game, having a really good time getting ready for it. It's a different environment, man. They just go it is and I love Browns fans, but Bills fans are just a different animal, to the point where there's a guy in my neighborhood who walks around the block every single time I see him, either a Josh Allen jersey or a Bills sweatshirt on. Bills fans are just nuts. Every single house has a flag. The wing places up there like Barbill. You can't get a reservation. There's people who line up outside at 8 a.m. to get in for their spot for a game. The people up there just go so crazy for the Bills, because it's even colder in Cleveland, and it's a shittier city, no offense, so there's even less to do than there is in Cleveland, and they don't have any other sports, so it is the Buffalo Bills and nothing else, because the Sabres have not made the playoffs since I was in 4th grade.
Did you see somebody jump to a table?
Yes, I did, and it was in August.
Was it everything it was supposed to be?
No, I mean, it was a preseason game, but it's also they have the ketchup and the mustard guy. Have you seen that guy before? The guy who they pour ketchup and mustard all over his body, and he jumps through a table. They are a different level of crazy up in Buffalo, and I'm excited to see the videos this weekend coming out of Western New York.
Do either of you know, the celebrity Bills fans? Obviously in Cleveland, we know ours, but I don't know. I can't recall, a celebrity Buffalo fan diehard.
I know a couple people in their media. I don't know any fan, kind of influencer / podcaster. If that's what you're asking, but I know a couple people in Bills radio, Bills
I'm thinking
media.
my Matthew McConaughey horns up.
I had two thoughts.
MGK.
Yeah.
No.
My first thought on the influencer route was, do you guys know that Wyatt's World guy who was on TikTok who did all the football meme videos?
Yeah, man. And he's I hope he's doing okay, because he posted an update that he's stepped away, and I go look for him periodically.
Me too.
And he's still not back.
He's really funny.
I hope he's doing all right.
Yeah, he's a Bills fan. And in terms of famous people from Buffalo, I think you're looking at Benny the Butcher as your guy for Bills fans. I don't really know. He's a pretty famous rapper. I think he's about as far as I can go into my Bills fan knowledge.
Fair enough. All right, well, we got to take a quick break, but when we get back, we'll dive into the NFC. There's 2 divisional games going on there. Both are more than a 6-point, spread there. So we'll see if those games will live up to the hype. But we'll be right back on The Big Factor. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, everybody, welcome back to The Big Factor here on the Big Play Sports Network. Ryan Tyler, Jack O'Rourke, Nick Padone. We're brought to you today and, of course, every day by our great friends at Fairway Ford, Ohio. Fairway Ford is the biggest Ford truck dealership in Ohio. They have the largest selection of Ford F-150s as well as Super Duty trucks, and I promise you they will not be beat on price by any other Ford dealers. Do not let a short drive to Canfield, Ohio prevent you from saving thousands. Yes, that's thousands on your new truck. Fairway Ford, the largest inventory of new Ford trucks, lowest pricing, and the same hometown level of service. Visit fairwayfordohio.com. Again, that's fairwayfordohio.com. All right, we flip it over now to the NFC, fellas. First game on Saturday. This is the night game. Commanders at Lions. Lions open this one as a heavy 9.5-point favorite. I feel as though Jaden Daniels' rookie season will be coming to an end here. Nonetheless, incredible run for him. But this feels like the season of destiny for the Lions, for all the injuries that they've had to gone through, for all the big balls calls of Dan Campbell, all the hype, the turnaround there in Detroit after getting so close last season in the NFC Championship. I feel as though this is the year the Lions go to the Super Bowl.
With that said, though, there's a lot of pressure on the Lions, so you got to look out for that. It's similar sports town to us here in Cleveland and obviously Buffalo, like we were breaking down in the last segment. Prone to heartbreak, and I couldn't think of any bigger heartbreak than overcoming all of those injuries and being the big bad Lions and Dan Gamble with all the big fourth down calls just to lose to a rookie quarterback in Jaden Daniels in the divisional round. Like, don't do that. This can't be a letdown spot. I'm picking the Lions here, but they have a ton of pressure on them to, make the Super Bowl and arguably win the Super Bowl. Like, I think of the 8 teams remaining, they could arguably have the most pressure on them just because of how affectionate that fan base is and how, much they've overachieved and overcome all year long. You can't afford a playoff letdown now. So give me the Lions here, but don't let this be a letdown spot.
Yeah, I do have a very, very quick correction as well to our last conversation on the Bills. My boy Matt did tell me that Shooter McGavin is a big Bills fan. So
Really?
Put out some shooters up in Orchard Park this weekend. But Nick, I think you hit the nail on the head when it comes to the Lions and their fan base and so much that they've been through, all these injuries. You look at their 2 best players of all time. They got up and retired in the heat of their prime, which never happens anywhere else. One of my best friends is a Lions fan. I watched the NFC title game with him last year. Just watching that happen to someone, I mean, man, is that heartbreaking to see. One of our other friends mushed him the whole entire way throughout the game. Oh, so you haven't been to a Super Bowl? Like, oh, you're up 14. You're going to be fine. The next play, the Niners went down and had that touchdown like 20 yards out to make it back 1 score. Yeah, I got to pull for the Lions in this one because, man, if they don't get it done again, like they're in the same boat as the Browns and the Bills and just these Midwestern cities of having no luck. So I'd love to see the Lions make it.
I just can't see this game being close. Like, Jaden Daniels is very, very good, and he's going to be their franchise quarterback, and he will probably, similar to Lamar Jackson since his rookie season, he'll probably be in the MVP conversation a litany of years in his career. That wouldn't surprise me at all if he won one. But to sit here, rookie year, new head coach, new ownership, new offensive coordinator, that's a lot in just a calendar year, guys. And just to get to this point for them is absolutely amazing and shows you don't really need this lengthy rebuild in the NFL. But we flip it over for the Lions, and this is no shade at Jared Goff. I mean, I think he's earned every penny he got there. They sent him there for his career to die, and he's done nothing but succeed. But the question remains, is he a good enough quarterback to win a Super Bowl? When you go back and look at the past, obviously it's been Patrick Mahomes, it's been Matthew Stafford, and even before that, I mean, Nick Foles, Carson Wentz through the regular season, and then obviously Tom Brady has had a couple in that span. Do you guys think Jared Goff, is he going to break that notion of you need a top 3, top 4, top 5 quarterback in the NFL to win the whole thing?
Well, I think a lot of people last year were hoping that Brock Purdy could have been a guy that could have, that would have started a whole new chatter of, you just need a game manager quarterback, if you have a really good team surrounding him to make a Super Bowl, win a Super Bowl. Obviously, Purdy got there and couldn't win it. I would love to see Goff be the guy. I mean, it's not that he's some sort of bum. Like, he was a top recruit all the way through. He was also, the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft. So, his NFL career hasn't maybe lived up to that of what a future Hall of Famer would be by any stretch. But I think he's good enough that he could. I think that he on this Lions team is a perfect enough fit. I think they could win a Super Bowl, man. I've seen him quarterback the Lions through some pretty big games, through some really big moments. So I think he can do it.
Yeah, I would say that the Lions and Jared Goff this year have the best chance out of any kind of similar scenario I can remember of, breaking that notion. I mean, the defense is phenomenal. The playmakers between Gibbs, Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, and credit to them, man, for drafting these guys. Like, they are hitting darts every round of the draft.
Yep.
I wish we could do that here in Cleveland. And
hey, they got who do they got in that front office, Ryan? Let me hear it.
It is
who helps out that
Ken
GM?
Dorsey, but a Mr. John Dorsey. Of course, we're familiar here with him in Cleveland. All right, Jack, you go first. Score prediction for this game.
Man, I don't know. It's not that the Commanders are some respectable franchise who does things right every single year either. But when you are a fan of a Cleveland or a Detroit or a Buffalo, if things go wrong early, sometimes you start to get that, oh shit, here we go again going in your head. For that reason, I do think it'll be closer than most people think. I think the comms might hop up a little bit early. I think the Lions win this one pretty comfortably, though. I'm going to go 24-17.
So they would cover in that scenario.
They would cover in that scenario. I think it's a playoff game. I'm not a huge big spreads guy in a playoff game, but these teams are going to fight to the death.
Nick?
Yeah, I got Lions by a lot.
Yeah, I'm predicting some blowouts here in the divisional round, but it really
which is weird because the divisional round is usually like the best weekend.
I just can't see the Commanders keeping pace with this offense. I'm going to go Lions, guys. I'm going Lions 34, Commanders 13 in this one.
Oh wow,
I think it's a huge blowout. I'd buy up on the points for the Lions. But last game, we're going to talk about other divisional round. Rams, after beating the Minnesota Vikings very handedly, they're traveling to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles, who also have a litany of talent. They're not quite the 9.5 point favorite Detroit is, but they are a 6.5 point favorite. Fellas, how do you see this one rolling out?
I love the coaching. That's Sean McVay. We love karma, and that's the guy last week who decided to yell at that girl, which made Ryan famous on TikTok and the Big Factor. So I'm taking the Rams on the road in this one. You trust a great defense, and you trust a hell of a coach.
Rams money line is going to be such a trendy pick here. I've been betting on the Rams all season. I'm not going to stop here. Give me Rams outright. And my reasoning is, like, go back and look at that Eagles playoff game. Like, that was one throughout the wild card round that I really sat down. Like, I really actually watched closely when I was out in California last week. The Eagles were sloppy. I mean, Jalen Hurts didn't even have 50 passing yards at halftime, struggled to get there throughout the rest of the game. So give me the Rams on the money line, going to Philly, getting the job done. Rams go to the NFC Championship game. I don't think anybody had that really on their bingo card when the season started. Matt Stafford could be staring down his second Super Bowl win, which surely put him in a Hall of Fame conversation. So the Rams kind of know what's at stake here. Give me LA.
I agree with the sentiment 100% that Sean McVay in huge games comes through more often than not. And Matthew Stafford, a Super Bowl winning quarterback, like, that's a team that has a winning culture. They know what winning is. But I think talent outright wins in this. Don't get me wrong. Sean McVay, leagues above Nick Sirianni. I don't think anybody would argue that. But I think Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, you pair that with the Eagles defense, probably top in the NFL. Their offensive line is amazing. Going to be nothing like Minnesota's was. I think it was too much for the Rams to handle in this one. I'll go Eagles. We're moving on to the NFC Championship. They win this game 21-17.
Oh, do you want my pick now? Oh,
we're giving picks because this is we're going back and clipping this.
That is fair. Yeah, I still like the Rams in this one. I like the Rams. I mean, they got a good offense too. I'm going to go barn burner, total shootout mode, 31-30 either way.
Wow. I'm going to go Rams win 24-23 off a field goal at the end.
All right, well, all we can hope for as NFL fans is good games in the divisional round. We'll talk Monday about those, see how they go, but we're going to take another break. When we get back, TMZ caught up with Denzel Ward. That was an unexpected collab. He had some interesting comments about the Browns quarterback situation, about comments that Myles Garrett had about where this Browns team stands. I got the video. We're going to talk about that and more when we come back here on The Big Factor. Happy Friday, gentlemen, and everybody watching. We are diving into TMZ. Everyone loves TMZ, right? Just kidding. We didn't catch up with TMZ caught up with Browns star cornerback Denzel Ward on the street. Don't know where he was, but they asked him about the Browns quarterback situation. They asked him about Myles Garrett's comments on Hard Knocks, about where the Browns stand in terms of talent and being able to win next season. Before we dive into this, if you haven't seen this clip, I'm about to play it. And if you haven't, well, that's why you watch the show, because we'll play it for you.
The Browns. A lot of people talking about this team and, your team, and it's a lot of negative and positive stuff too. So we want to know, do you think that the team needs a good quarterback, or should they be rebuilding the entire, roster?
Yeah. I think we need a great quarterback for real. I mean, I think the NFL, that's what it start with. Start with that quarterback position. And once you get that solidified, then the rest of the team go follow and go carry along. So I don't think we're too far off. We need to solidify that position, though.
Right. What about Geno Smith? There have been talks about him coming over. Do you think he could be the one?
He's solid. He's a solid quarterback. Until we actually get him in the building and get people in the building, I'm still rolling with my people we got there. But no, he's a good quarterback though, and he comes to the team. I would like that though.
Right now, Garrett Miles, right? He goes, listen, the team ain't that bad.
Yeah.
We're like right there, almost there. Do you agree with that statement, or do you feel like there's like a lot more?
No, for sure. Like I said, I think we got a good team for real, but we got to solidify that quarterback position. You got a quarterback position, you see, it's going to take you far.
Well, Garrett Miles, he agreed with his comments about the Browns aren't that far away from winning. Nick, you reposted this, and it kind of went mini viral. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I have a couple thoughts. One, strange collab, between TMZ and Denzel Ward, a guy that doesn't talk very much, that looked to be in New York City, maybe. Denzel Ward was wearing a Bitcoin hoodie, so Denzel Ward, fellow crypto guy, which is massive for the brand, massive for him. He's not one to talk very much. So I think to get anything like that out of Denzel Ward kind of gives us a little bit more insight to what Jason Lloyd wrote about in The Athletic just a couple days ago, where he said, a lot of the veterans were kind of feeling like a cloud was lifted when Deshaun Watson was gone. A lot of, vets in the locker room felt like maybe the team gave way too much control to Deshaun Watson. I think now all of this is starting to come to light. And I mean, he straight said in plain English, I think we need a great quarterback. And I think that's kind of where Browns fans are at as well, is, whether it's through a trade, whether it's through free agency, or whether it's staying put there at the number 2 overall pick in the NFL draft and selecting somebody, the Browns need to find a great quarterback. Like, they're going to be playing in the sand until they do that. So I definitely thought that Denzel, didn't really say anything wrong. He said he was going to, support the guys that were in the locker room with him until they find somebody else. But him and Garrett Miles, which was another hilarious component of the interview, are in agreement that the Browns are pretty close. This is so much closer than when they were 1-31 and they drafted Miles, then they tanked another year and they drafted Baker. Like, there are a couple cornerstone pieces in place when you look at Miles, when you look at Denzel, David Njoku, Grant Delpit, JOK if he could come back. There are pieces, whereas last time there really weren't. So I thought Denzel kind of he said as much as he could possibly say in a moment like that without really pissing anybody off or without really making any headlines,
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with everything you just said. And earlier, about whatever it was, a month or two ago, you had not arguably, hands down the best player on the Browns and Myles Garrett speak about this publicly, about how the quarterbacks in the room in Berea right now, especially Deshaun Watson, simply aren't going to cut it, and they're not a winning formula. Now you have, in my opinion, and I think you'd have a very hard argument not to say that Denzel Ward is the second best player on the Cleveland Browns, also speaking out about it, reiterating basically the same sentiments that Myles Garrett had said, both about the quarterbacks and the team. So, hey, I'm going to choose to believe them. I've seen them. I've seen the talent on the Browns the year before that. Listen, everything goes wrong when you don't have a quarterback that can throw the ball 5 yards down the field, or a quarterback that can, but also turns the ball over 4 times a game.
Yeah, Ryan, so when I watched this video for the first time, the way she asks the first question is, do we need to get a good quarterback, or do we need to tear it down? Or at least that's how I interpreted it.
Yeah.
So when I first heard the clip, the first couple seconds, and he answered, we need a good quarterback, I kind of took it as, oh, that's not a big deal, because she basically asked him, do you need to sell everything and restart or have a good quarterback. So it's like, okay, obviously he's going to say have a good quarterback, not that we should tear the whole puppy down. But then as you get deeper into it, you get to the Garrett Miles and all that good stuff. As Nick said, he puts it as clear as day in plain English that we need better quarterback play. He even entertains outside options in it, such as Geno Smith saying, like, yeah, Geno Smith is awesome, before you can kind of even see his face turn, and he goes, oh, but, like, I'm still rocking with the people in the room while we have them, as in, oh, shit, I need to go cover my tracks before this becomes a bigger story than it already will be. But, guys, we've never really heard, even like before the season started. Like I remember watching Gab Cruz did a Cruz in Cleveland thing at the celebrity softball game, and she talked to Amari Cooper about Deshaun, and Amari Cooper was like, yeah, like we believe in this guy. He's our guy. Even if he probably didn't believe it at that point in time, the sentiment was still clear from the team. Hey, we're going to put out that we have full confidence in Deshaun. And it seems like, guys, that is more than gone now.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that tide has completely changed, and it started really even before the year ended. You know, Joel Bitonio, Jack Conklin were kind of the first two to take the gloves off. Myles Garrett, of course, when he said that he needed to see the plan and the outline. Like now, Denzel Ward, like you've layered four of the team's most tenured vets when you think about Bitonio, Garrett, Conklin, Ward, that are all, I don't want to say speaking out against Deshaun Watson, but they're not exactly endorsing him by any stretch. You know, he also said in there, and I think the most important thing that he said is something that Kevin Stefanski preaches, is that they need consistent quarterback play. And that's something that they didn't have through the Baker era. That's something that they didn't have with Deshaun ever. That's something that they didn't have with Jacoby. It's something that they didn't have with Flacco. It's something that, you know, they didn't have with Jameis. They need somebody that could come in and just be themselves. They need somebody that could come in and be consistent. And I think that, you know, when you think about the options that are out there for the Browns this offseason, think about what Denzel said, because it's literally just echoing Kevin Stefanski. They need consistent quarterback play. It can't be a constant week in, week out roller coaster of, is this the guy? Is this not the guy? Because that's all we've ever known here in Cleveland.
And yeah, it's nice to hear your stars say that, whether they truly believe it or not, that you don't necessarily, they're not looking at it as they need a full rebuild. They believe in the talent. And Myles and Denzel, Nick, we especially know Denzel. We went to the same high school as him at Nordonia. Yeah. These guys have won at every single level they've been to, especially Denzel Ward at Ohio State. The success there, gets drafted first round, higher than people probably thought he was going to go. And comes in the NFL, seamless transition, immediately turns into one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL, right? Now, the future is to be determined, I suppose, a quarterback, but I thought it was funny. She said Geno Smith. Like, I haven't heard that anywhere. I thought it was maybe Kirk Cousins or a Justin Fields. She pulled Geno Smith out of nowhere, which I thought was funny. And obviously you heard Denzel say, yeah, he's a good quarterback. He's a good quarterback. But guys, Geno Smith, I mean, have you heard any rumors of him getting shipped off?
So here's the thing with Geno she's technically not too far off. Like, he is definitely a sleeper cut candidate this offseason because he's a free agent in 2026. And that means, you know, like how things usually roll, he has no guarantees. So if they wanted to be done with him, you know, if the Seahawks fell in love with Jackson Dart or one of these other guys, you know, to kind of make their own Bo Nix, that's totally within their, you know, prerogative of something that they could do, of cut Geno Smith. He has no guarantees. There wouldn't be much of a cap penalty there. You could go draft your quarterback of the future to pair with your new young head coach. I personally think that would be dumb. Like, I think when you have a guy like Geno Smith, I would just ride out with Geno Smith, see what he could do next year if I'm Seattle. But technically, like, I was surprised to hear it, but it's not the furthest thing off. Like, really, they could technically cut him this year. Doesn't mean they're going to.
I think Geno Smith is a very solid quarterback, but I think all this talk we had today, even though I've heard way worse options thrown out for Browns quarterback next year, I want to
hear one. Give me a worse option than Geno.
Aaron Rodgers.
All right.
True.
Cool. Continue.
I think this officially scared me straight into being in the draft a quarterback route when you said that Geno has 1 year left on his contract. Do we want to be the Pittsburgh Steelers and go get these guys who are on the wrong side of 30 with 1 year left on their contract and try and fit a square peg into a round hole the next couple of years until we can finally find something? And these guys are all getting older too. The guys on the defense, the O-line, just like they said in Wedding Crashers, hey, we're not getting any younger either. Those guys are on the wrong side of 30. Let's just draft a kid, see if he works out and go from there, because I don't know if I can do this 1-year quarterback thing like the Steelers do.
And Jack, I'm in lockstep with you there, brother, because like here's the thing, and I'm arguably one of the most critical people of the Deshaun Watson thing. I, however, was also hammering the table for Baker in 2018 just because I thought it was a swing. I think if you're the Browns and you've got a little bit of talent on your roster, I'm not willing to say that this roster is horrible. You got to keep taking swings. You can't just lay down a bunt and hope that you're fast enough to get to first base, because since 1999, you haven't been fast enough. So you need to keep making swings to find your own Josh Allen, to find your own Joe Burrow. Until you do, you're going to be just screwing around, like what the Steelers are doing right now. I don't want to be Pittsburgh. I don't want to get to the first round of the playoffs next year and get decimated, because I think they could. I think the Browns could. They have a good enough head coach and they have a good enough defense. If you got a competent quarterback, you could probably make a wild card game. What's that worth? I don't want to do that. I would rather find my quarterback of the future, and a guy that could win with these guys that are in their 30s, and the guy that could help, make this not a rebuild and help make it a reload. I'm leaning that way too, Jack. Like you can't afford to just keep punting on seasons, because that's what the last 3 seasons have been with this joke that was the Deshaun Watson trade.
And Nick, I'm no capologist myself. I don't know all the nitty gritty of what's going down, but people keep throwing out these names, the Rodgers of the world, Geno Smith, whatever. Where are we going to find the money for this? We have negative $17 million already going into next year. We're paying Deshaun Watson, 70-something million over the next 2 seasons each. We don't have any money. How are we going to pay for these guys? Can you guys tell me?
That insurance policy.
That's why like the Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers thing kind of come into play. And here's the thing, like I'd be cool with either Kirk Cousins or Aaron Rodgers. You still need to draft a quarterback. I'm fine with, doing exactly what the Falcons did last year, letting Aaron Rodgers start the season. But at some point you need to turn the keys over to Shedeur Sanders. At some point you need to know, need the world to know that that's your franchise quarterback. So I'd be cool with that, because those are 2 guys. Like Rodgers is one that, he's kind of just like trying to find a spot to finish his career out, it seems. And Kirk Cousins is going to be exactly what Russell Wilson was last year, where he'll still get his massive payday from the Falcons, and then he'll be on a little bit of a vet minimum contract wherever he goes next year. So those are 2 like more affordable options. But Ryan, I know because you and Fontana have talked to like Jack Duffin and stuff, that like technically they could afford, like if they wanted to go like balls to the wall, again, in air quotes, like Sam Darnold, which is even to me less of an appealing option, but they technically could afford that if they wanted.
According to Jack Duffin, in all seriousness, I mean the Browns, it seems, can do whatever they want. And he knows way more about it than I do. He knows all the numbers, all the stipulations, everything like that. And he says they're really not limited. He says the narrative is completely false, to be honest.
Well, it's because, and I think the reason behind that is because they kind of Bobby Bonilla the Deshaun thing far enough out, and that they could just continue to do that. Now that there's even a conversation about voids or cap relief because of this latest Achilles injury, like that's only going to benefit their situation. So I think it's just because, the cap's going to keep going up. In terms of what teams are allowed to spend, and the Browns are going to keep just pushing money down the road. They have an owner that's willing to spend, so you have the ability to do that. And that's kind of why they technically aren't that strapped for cash. But we'll see. We'll see what this offseason brings for sure. I've been thinking about it a lot too. I think we'll know. I think we'll know a little bit come free agency, which is just about 2 months away at this point. Like if they go out there and get Kirk Cousins or Aaron Rodgers or maybe Darnold in the first couple of days of free agency, that quarterback's not going to be as big of a need come NFL draft time. But if they do something really small, like say they get Jimmy G, maybe that's or re-sign Jameis, which I don't think is something that's been talked enough about. I don't think he should have been benched. I think how about this? I know for a fact that Jameis Winston came here to play in Kevin Stefanski's offense, not in Ken Dorsey's offense. And we never got to see him run that Kubiak style play action, turnover free style of offense. Instead, we got to see gunslinger Jameis was fun at times, but it wasn't turnover free football. football, and that ultimately led to his benching. But if they make a small move like bringing back Jameis or going the Jimmy G route, then that maybe tips their cap a little bit that they're serious about finding a franchise quarterback. Well, I think we'll have those answers sooner than a lot of people think. Like, spring is right around the corner here.
Yeah, well, we got to take one more quick break. But speaking of Deshaun Watson, when we get back, To Catch a Predator case on TikTok has gone viral. Students are in trouble. I think they're very stupid. I'll tell you why when we get back here on The Big Factor. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to The Big Factor. Happy Friday again. Ryan, Tyler, Jack O'Rourke, Nick Padone. We're diving into this story right now. College students are in deep trouble after they did what is become called the To Catch a Predator trend on TikTok. There were 5 Massachusetts college students at the Assumption University. Actually, I've never heard of it. But they apparently they appeared in court Thursday. They're accused of plotting to lure a man to their campus through a dating app and then seizing him as part of this To Catch a Predator trend. Now, these 6 students allegedly used one of the 18-year-old's Tinder account. They matched with a 22-year-old man who was also an active duty military service member. Basically, they matched. He went to the university to meet up with this 18-year-old, which, by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, that's legal.
Yeah, that ball's in play.
Well, he went there, and what happened was he went into a house. He got dragged into the basement. It led him to a group of people. They came out of nowhere, started calling him a pedophile, beat him, chased him all the way to his car, and now he's suing them. Obviously, they just went to court. They all pled not guilty, but this whole thing is just absolutely bizarre. One, for these college kids to feel the want to, organize something along these lines, but then further, they got it wrong. They said she was 18.
Wrong.
He's 22.
That's the biggest piece.
That's completely legal. So now what these kids are going to do is they're going to get found guilty, and rightfully, they probably should go to jail.
They should go to jail for a very long time, in my opinion, on this, Ryan. The first thing, before we even dive deep into it, let's plant ourselves, the 3 of us, as Assumption University students here for 15 seconds. So this girl, who is your friend, who I would assume that you know is 18, they decided to do this whole To Catch a Predator thing, whatever. Did they not know that eventually that they would figure out that she is 18 years old? How does that correlate in their heads? They're not going to lie about her age. It was always going to be a legal activity, regardless of what happened. And they totally lied to the police, too, about what happened. They said that he showed up uninvited and they had to kick him out. They had 30 people there. I know there was 6 that are charged, but there was a bunch of people there who were like high-fiving, and I don't know if they were hopping in on the beating, but this is like old WWF style. They're pulling the guy over, they pull him into the basement, they pull the rug up from under him, and 30 people tried to beat the shit out of him. What are you guys doing? She was 8. Like, guys, I cannot mentally understand how they thought anything would ever come of this if she is 18 years old. How would that have ever correlated?
Yeah, well, we talked about what the GPA was at Texas State. I wondered, was it Assumption University? I got to imagine it's even lower. And they went through the messages. And it'd be one thing if she appeared on Tinder as 18, but then you went through the messages, she admitted she was underage. But no, that never happened. There was no evidence, text messages, anything that this 22-year-old was looking for somebody underage or knew that had the assumption she was underage. None of that was true. And they came, invited this dude, and beat him up. Like, are they just that stupid, or did they think 18-year-olds are, like, illegal?
No, they had to have just been that stupid, or thinking that it wouldn't have turned out. Or maybe they didn't. I don't want to assume things at Assumption University about things I don't know. But the guy was in the military, so I'm sure the guy wasn't just going to sit there and take the beating. I think he was going to probably do his best to fend for himself in any scenario. And my best thought would be They didn't know his background or whatever. They thought this would be like a gotcha. They go viral on TikTok or whatever. My bet, and again, this is all me guessing. I have no clue what went on. Wasn't there for the court case. I would think this guy was like, oh, okay, I'm going to try and fight back if people are beating me up. It turned into something they didn't think it was going to turn into, and it all spiraled into what this case is now.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. You know, it was definitely something they were probably trying to do for a quick couple views. You know, this is like the Vitaliification of, you know, our youth, because he, you know, has been doing this like To Catch a Predator thing, but with actual, you know, pedophiles, kind of like the old Chris Hansen, you know, thing that was on TV for a long time. Like Vitali kind of brought that back. And he was, you know, making these people do like the one chip challenge, you know, where like they're sitting there like feeling all ashamed of themselves, and like he makes them eat like a super spicy chip and doing like all of these embarrassing things on camera on stream. But it sounds like these kids definitely took it way too far. And yeah, you get ready to learn. Where is this? Massachusetts? Yeah, get ready to learn Massachusetts confinement, my friends.
Yeah, you're gonna be in the stadium up there in Mass for sure.
Nick, you can't see it, but I have a nice picture of Chris Hansen on the graphic, so I'm glad you said that, and I'm glad you also brought up Vitali, because I asked Jack earlier this morning, like, do you know who that is? And I believe you said no, right?
I do not know who that is.
Yeah,
no.
This dude's crazy. He basically has a sting like this. He catches pedophiles. Basically a vigilante. He takes it into his own hands. He beats them up. He collabed with a Lil Pump on one. He collabed with celebrities all the time. And his whole shtick is, hey, you do what we say, we won't turn you into the cops. But of course they're going to turn him into the cops.
And then they turn him into the cops.
They're like, hey, you're fucked. You're going to go to jail. But instead, let me do this. Let me shave off your eyebrows. Let me beat you up. Like Nick said, the one chip challenge. And that's a problem in itself. Like, these guys think they can just be vigilantes, like I said. Take this, like, that's illegal. You can't just go beat up a dude whether what he did to you if what didn't involve you. It's crazy.
Hey, I'm sure it's a similar, they don't do anything to the guy outside of reporting, but do you guys know what Colorado Ped Patrol is?
Yeah.
I get them on TikTok all the time. So it's a very similar concept of they track the guy, they coerce him, whatever, and they go and they get him. Did you send these messages, whatever, send them to the cops. But yeah, I don't know. I do think there's issues in general also, because there's some videos where not Colorado Ped Patrol, but there's groups of people like this who they find someone who like clearly has special needs, who has no clue what's going on, and they try and beat this guy up and make him a pedophile. And yeah, sure, they might have like messaged back and stuff, but they're people who have no clue what's going on. But guys, when I saw this headline and I saw it was like they're doing the TikTok trend, I thought it meant like if there was like two buddies, like me and Ryan, for example, going to Target, I record Ryan and I go, hey, why are you here to meet a 13-year-old girl? People post that on the internet of their friends all the time, and it gets a couple thousand clicks. I thought it was like that. Then I opened the article and see they took him into a basement and beat him up.
It's a whole sting operation.
Yeah, like, I don't know. There's a reason that the police are the police and you are an undergrad at Assumption University. Let them do their job. You do your job. And like Nick said about the Eagles fan a couple days ago, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. As Forrest Gump's mom said, stupid is as stupid does.
I just can't fathom how stupid you have to be to think that
stupid.
What that guy was doing was illegal. Like,
they did a sting operation for something that's legal, which is like the first time that's probably ever been done.
Yeah.
And also,
that would be like if I did a sting operation and I like waited at the exit of Walmart and I found somebody that paid for their groceries. I'd be like, what are you doing? This guy's stealing groceries. Like,
and it's also, even because I did a little bit of research on this too, because I was excited to talk about this topic. So in the state of Massachusetts also, so say in the first place, even if this girl who was 18, say she was 17 and made a Tinder account that said she was 18.
Which you have to be 18.
Yes, and she slept with this guy and he didn't know. That guy would not get in any trouble because he had no clue or no way of knowing that she wasn't 18 in the first place. So any possible way you hit this ball down the third base line, any bounce or kick it takes off the wall, this guy would not have gotten in trouble. Like, what was their... What was the thesis of this? What was the motive? What did you hope to get out of this? Because you're a dumbass and nothing else could have happened.
Yeah, I mean, mind-blowing to say the least.
That's like what I keep going back to. Like, they had to have been just like desperate for views.
Use some paid media. It'll save you from going to jail.
Like, I've watched my fair share of To Catch a Predator Chris Hansen compilations on YouTube, but I never in the wildest mind would I think of doing something like this to be stupid enough to think that being 18 was legal.
Real quick, in terms of great To Catch a Predator moments, do you guys know the one where he just catches a guy just red-handed and the guy's a box of pizza and he's like,
I knew Jack was going to talk about this one.
Bro, there's one.
you want a slice?
He walks into the kitchen. He's just butt-ass naked, like man spread. And it's like, what are you
And
doing?
I love whenever Chris Hansen comes out with a camera set, the cameras, and the guys are either like, oh, is this a setup? Like, no shit, it's a setup. Look at what's going on. Or they just, I can't pronounce that word, so I'm not going to use it. Never
Vehemently?
mind. Vehemently. They just vehemently deny it. The whole that they did not do anything when they clearly did it.
That's my favorite. They're like, I was here to make sure that she wasn't going to do anything.
Oh, yeah? Why'd you send her 4 dick pics?
Yeah, no, they're like, I was just, coming to hang out. Chris Hansen pulls out his bag.
Yeah, the binder
I got
full of
6 bottles of lube. I got condoms. I got some sex toys. But you were just coming to watch the game.
I was just going to watch Frozen with her.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy how stupid people are. And, like, obviously they should be throw the book at those people, but these teenagers are absolutely stupid. They're going to be in for a very long sentencing case or process, I assume.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you talk about a way to throw away your life doing some stupid TikTok trends, like, just go back to eating Tide Pods.
Yeah.
People will do anything to get famous.
Yeah, they sure will. All right, well, we got to get out of here. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Happy Friday. Enjoy the football games this weekend. We'll recap on Monday. Same time, same place, 10 a.m. Follow the show at The Big Factor on X. Jack, Nick, you guys have a wonderful weekend as well. Everybody out there, stay safe on the roads if it's snowing near you guys like it is us. And we will talk to you then. Peace.